Hello, my name is Dennis DeLoach. I'm the host of the Uncle Jim Effect podcast, and welcome to episode number 20. The title of episode number 20 is Be the Unreasonable Man or Woman. First, I want to say thank you and to please like and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button below. We are growing so fast, and it's been such a tremendous blessing for us. Please continue to share with your family and friends. Uh, Also, now we're on Apple Podcast and Spotify Music. So go there and search out the Uncle Jim Effect podcast. Also, it's the Monumental podcast, but it's under my name, Dennis DeLoach. And thank you so much for being here. Again, the purpose of this podcast and the purpose of what I'm trying to do with this is to create opportunities for over 1 million people to realize their God-given potential and then to magnify that God-given potential in the service of those family and friends that are around them and those they work with. And our goal, the ultimate goal of that purpose, is to create a tsunami of hope for people. Seems like in this world, in this society, in this time, we're beaten down and told what we can't do, and we're an epidemic of not believing in things that we're potentially able to do. And so this goal is for us to kind of shed that image, to realize that with our God-given potential, we can literally do anything in this world we want to do. Literally, we can do anything. Let's get on to the podcast. I want to start with a quote, and this is attributed to George Bernard Shaw. It's an extremely insightful quote, but you really got to think about some of these words and what they mean, and we're going to dissect it. But pay close attention to this quote. It's meant a lot to me in my life, and I think it'll mean a lot to you. The unreasonable man, I'm sorry, let me start over. The reasonable man adapts himself to the world. Think about that. The reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable man persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man. So the reasonable man adapts himself to the world and what the world expects. So what is it that they say I can do? That's never been done. I can't do that. People with my education level can't do that. My neighbor or friend or relative or whoever or coach told me one time I couldn't do that. So I adapt myself if I'm reasonable. The unreasonable man says, no, I've decided to do this, and the world's going to adapt to what I do. And that's not arrogance. That's not cockiness. That's confidence and your ability to realize your God-given potential. When we partner with God, it makes it so much easier for us to rely on His strength, faith, and belief in us than for some reason it is to believe in those things that we can accomplish ourselves. So let's talk about a few things. First, what's the definition of being unreasonable? And I love this definition. It says, not guided by or based on good sense. Isn't that hilarious? Being unreasonable is not guided by or based on good sense. So when we think of being unreasonable, what does the world tell you that good sense is? Again, good sense is uh, you're 60 years old, you can't do that, or you're too old to do that. You don't have enough money to do that. You've never started that business. You've never run that race. You've never lost that weight. You've never had that much money in your savings account. You've never paid off that much debt. Yada, yada, yada. It doesn't matter what people say to you. It doesn't matter what the world determines to be good sense. Being unreasonable is the first step in you being able to realize your God-given potential. So shake off what friends, family, coaches, neighbors, the world tells you that is expected of you, and think and process what it is that God might potentially have in store for you if you were to follow what He would like for you. So, what does it mean to be a natural man or a worldly man? In this sense, we're talking about what are all those things and limits that the world and friends and even ourselves, what do we put on ourselves and push us to be reasonable? Because today we're talking about how do we become an unreasonable man or woman? And we know that to become unreasonable, we've got to do things that aren't based on good sense. And I love that because good sense tells you to sit back, relax, accept the status quo. Uh, and as you contrast being reasonable with being unreasonable, it's night and day. I mean, again, being reasonable is not embracing change, keeping it the same, waking up the same today and doing the same things and expecting the same thing. And so I think that's important. I would like to share with you some examples in my life of where I've been unreasonable. And I don't share those with you to focus on what I'm doing. Hopefully, they trigger in your mind all of the different times in your life that you've been unreasonable, and did that lead to breakthroughs? And what was that process like? And then after those, some of these examples, I want to talk about a process that's helped me along that way as well. So I remember out of high school, I went to the Air Force Academy and was planning on being a pilot. I wanted to be a dentist, but I thought, I was recruited there to play football, and I thought, well, I'd be great to play football and to be a fighter pilot. I had eyes at the time that weren't very, they were about 20/40 uncorrected, which at the time you had to have 20/20 uncorrected vision. But when I was recruited, the football coaches told me they could get a waiver. Long story short, that was a lie. And when I got qualified, they qualified me as a non-pilot or a navigator, and I wasn't interested in being at the Air Force Academy if I couldn't be a fighter pilot. So I left and went home and was looking to transfer. And out of nowhere, I get the call from my old high school coach who spoke with the coaches at Utah State University and offered me the opportunity to go within a 24-hour period to get there in a place I had never been. I'd never been to Utah. I knew absolutely nobody in Utah. Hadn't stepped foot there. Wasn't familiar with that culture and was going to a completely different spot. And I decided at that point that was an unreasonable move. I decided to do it. And the blessings that have come in my life because of that are too numerous to count. Uh, it led to a successful career in athletics, which led me to meet my future wife, which led me to meet friends that I still have today, which shaped me and led me to my faith journey, which led me to being able to build up credentials and to get into dental school. And that has just led me to so many different things. Uh, Another opportunity we had was in 2002. We were tired of living in the city and were looking for an opportunity to get to a rural area. And an opportunity came for us to get to a little town called Delta, Utah. And that was an unreasonable move for us. And as we look back, we had 18 wonderful years there that were financially extremely successful. We met some of the greatest people in the world. We had 4 of our 6 children basically grow up there. 2 of them met their spouses and married them. And we've got friends that we know that we'll have throughout the eternities that are from Delta. And we just love that opportunity. But that was an unreasonable move for us. The physical challenges I've shared with you in the past were unreasonable for me, where I was at one point morbidly obese after college, putting on way well over 100 pounds. I'd had torn my Achilles. I'd had a total knee replacement. And in the face of that, decided that my good friend, the Navy SEAL, challenged me to get off my fat rear end and to do something that was scary. And so I chose to do one of the hardest trail runs in America, the Moab marathon and half marathon. And in the face of obesity, torn Achilles, and total knee replacement, and horrible weather at the time, which I didn't know of. Anyway, I've accomplished that race 5 different times, and that was unreasonable. Uh, and a couple of years ago in 2022, made the decision to basically sell my 3 dental practices and buildings and move on to a different area of life. And that was a significant unreasonable move. And we're still in the process of that and basically loving the ideas that are coming from that. And it just opens up a whole other set of opportunities. So let's talk about the process that I think is so important in this. And you can adapt this. There's no specific do it this way and or else. But these steps have helped me. And I'm a step guy and I like to have steps. If you're that way, follow through. But the first step is, and this is the most important step, is to shut out the noise, get to a quiet place, and get rid of all the preconceived noise that the world tells you on how you should be reasonable and how you should do what they say. Step one, get in a quiet spot, shut out the noise, and get ready to actually determine what it is you're going to be unreasonable about. There's a quote that I like that kind of talks about that, and it's by Zig Ziglar. And he says the first step to getting what you want is to get rid of what you don't. Sometimes I think we don't realize it's not so much in life what we do to accomplish things. Sometimes in life, it's what do we get rid of or get off of our plate that frees up our time and quit. Is not a distraction and frees up time to create and focus on things that are more important. So it's not so much what we do, it's what we get rid of. And in this case, I'm saying to get rid of the noise and free up the preconceived notions that you cannot do certain things. So first of all, get your mind ready. Second step, and we've talked about this a lot, is imagine anything is possible. This is that 10x process. And this step is that once we've cleared our mind and we realize we can do anything if we get a clean slate, the second step is what is it that I want to do? And blow these thoughts out of the water. 10x whatever it is you think you want to do. This third step is just come up with 2 or 3 simple things that I do every day that lead me to that 10x goal. It can be simple. We've talked a lot about these things. In the example of weight loss, it's eat less, move more, get 10,000 steps, do these things. Simple things that we do on a daily basis. We don't focus on losing the 100 pounds. We focus on what can I do today? And I can take 1,000 steps. I can walk around the block. I cannot eat that extra Twinkie. Whatever that is, that's the third step, is to determine those things. The fourth step is to get somebody that will hold you accountable, either a coach, a spouse, a friend, but confide in them and declare to the world what you're going to do so that they hold you accountable. Get an accountability partner. The fifth one is keep score. I was told a long time ago, and I love this concept, there's basically 3 types of people in life. Those that are winning, those that are losing, and those that don't even know the score. So there is no excuse for you not to know the score when you are attacking a goal or when you're becoming unreasonable. Keep score, track your weight, track your finances, track your progress. If you don't know where your start number is and you don't know what your goal is and you don't have a check-in date on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, how do you know if you've improved or not? So know the score, and the only way you know the score is to keep track. Keep score. And finally, step 6 is you need to celebrate successes along the way. As we climb the mountain, we don't wait till we get to the top to celebrate, or we will not make it. We need to take 10 steps, stop and celebrate. Take 10 steps, stop and celebrate. And as you get up there and turn around and look, you actually realize, wow, I've made progress. I'm not at the top and I got a long way to go, but I have also covered a little bit of ground. Give yourself some grace and celebrate those successes. We tend to not be very good at that part of this process. So today, on this Friday Focus, I've shared with you what it takes to become the unreasonable man or woman. All things that are ever accomplished in this life are accomplished by being unreasonable. We talked about what that means. Being unreasonable is doing things that don't make good sense. not listening to people, and being able to set that 10x goal that's way out there and shut out the noise and don't listen to people and do things on a daily basis, simple, just a couple of things that lead me to that goal. Again, I'm so grateful for you and your audience, my audience, and those that you've invited. You've had so many tremendous comments. Please subscribe to the channel, like the channel. You can email us at deloachpodcast@gmail.com. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. And until next time, get busy getting after it. And we look forward to becoming an unreasonable man or woman. Thank you.